Hello, I'm Nikki Newman. This is my official YouTube channel. Please subscribe and support us.
Young and the Restless spoilers. Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. We have a massive amount of breaking news to cover today and honestly my head is still spinning from all the updates. So grab a very large cup of coffee and settle in because we have a lot to talk about regarding the absolute chaos unfolding in Genoa City right now. So let us just dive right into the absolute mess that is currently happening with Sally Spectra and Billy Abbott. Because things just took a turn that I do not think anyone was prepared for. And I mean nobody. We all knew that Sally was dealing with some kind of sickness. And she was hiding out at home. And Billy was hovering around her like he always does when he feels guilty or wants to play the hero. He even offered to cancel his trip to London just to stay home and take care of her. But Sally did not want that because Sally is holding onto a massive secret. And she just wanted him out of the room so she could figure out what is actually going on with her body. And that is where Audra Charles comes into the picture. Because Audra is surprisingly turning out to be the only person Sally can actually rely on right now. Which is crazy if you think about Audra's history, but Audra sneaked over to the house. And she brought Sally exactly what she asked for, a pregnancy test. And while Billy was literally in the other room making soup like some kind of clueless sitcom husband, Sally was in the bathroom staring at this little piece of plastic that could change her entire life forever. And she is absolutely terrified. Because the last time she was pregnant, it ended in the most horrific tragedy imaginable. But it is not just the trauma of losing her first baby that is eating her alive right now. It is Billy, because Sally has already admitted that she is terrified of Billy being a father to her child. She knows his history, she knows that he is flighty and unreliable. And she knows that he chases shiny new things and then gets bored. She literally told him recently that her own father was like that. And she swore she would never subject a child to a man who cannot stay grounded. So she is sitting there with this test. And she is sweating. And she is panicking. And she is just waiting for the results to process. And then the universe decides to throw the biggest and most destructive curveball possible. Because right in the middle of all this intense emotional turmoil, Jill Abbott suddenly returns to Genoa City, and I mean she just drops out of the sky with absolutely no warning. And she is not here for a friendly family visit, she is on a warpath. And she has her sights set directly on Sally Spectra. Because somehow Jill always knows everything. And she has instantly picked up on the tension and the rumors and the sheer disaster that is Billy and Sally's relationship. So Jill does what Jill does best. She goes on the offensive. And she tracks Sally down at the athletic club. And we have to talk about this scene because it is just raw and brutal. Sally is probably just trying to get a moment to breathe. Maybe she went to the club to clear her head away from Billy's hovering. And suddenly the grand matriarch of the Abbott family is standing right in front of her. And Jill is radiating pure authority. She is dressed to kill and she is looking at Sally like she is a piece of trash that someone tracked onto an expensive rug. And Jill does not waste any time with pleasantries. Because she just launches right into the most vicious verbal attack we have seen in a very long time. She looks Sally dead in the eye. And she tells her that she is completely unworthy of the Abbott name. She calls her a gold digger. Which is honestly so incredibly hypocritical coming from Jill if you know anything about her history with Catherine Chancellor and John Abbott. But Jill does not care about her own past right now. She only cares about protecting her son and her family legacy from a woman she views as a cheap grifter. So Jill tells Sally that she knows exactly what this pregnancy is all about. She accuses Sally of using this unborn child as a tool. A biological weapon to secure her place in the Abbott family and to climb the corporate ladder. And Sally is just standing there in absolute shock. Because she has barely even processed the reality of the pregnancy test herself. And now she is being accused of masterminding some kind of evil plot to trap Billy Abbott. When in reality, Sally does not even want Billy to be the father. She is terrified of him being the father, but Jill is not listening to anything Sally has to say. And then Jill drops the absolute bombshell. The thing that literally made my jaw hit the floor when I read the notes. Because Jill reaches into her metaphorical bag of tricks and pulls out the most disgusting offer imaginable. She looks at Sally, and she offers her a massive amount of money. A payout so huge that it would set Sally up for life. And on top of that, she offers her a high-level director position at a company in London. It is the ultimate golden parachute. But it comes with one specific and horrifying condition. Jill tells Sally that she can have the money, and she can have the fancy job in London. But she has to terminate the pregnancy. She has to get rid of the baby. And she has to leave Genoa City and never look back. And I just need to pause here for a second because the sheer cruelty of this demand is almost too much to process. Jill Abbott is standing in the middle of the athletic club, and she is trying to buy an abortion. She is trying to pay a woman to end her pregnancy just to keep the Abbott bloodline pure from Spectra DNA. And you have to think about what this does to Sally's mental state. Because Sally is already suffering from severe PTSD regarding pregnancy. We all remember the heartbreaking scenes when she lost baby Ava. We remember Adam making that impossible choice at the hospital to save Sally's life over the baby. We remember Sally completely falling apart and grieving for months. She carried that tiny box. She cried until she had no tears left. And the trauma of losing that child is still sitting right there on the surface of her soul. So for Jill to stand there and casually tell Sally to just get rid of the baby for a paycheck. It is not just an insult. It is a profound act of emotional violence. It is ripping open Sally's deepest and most painful wound and pouring salt right into it. And Sally is just looking at Jill with pure horror. She is paralyzed. Because how do you even respond to something so monstrous? How do you process the fact that the mother of the man you are dating thinks your unborn child is just a nuisance that can be bought and thrown away? But the worst part of this entire situation, the part that actually makes me the most angry, is Billy, because Billy is right there. He is standing right there while his mother is saying these horrific things to the woman he claims to love. And what does Billy do? He does absolutely nothing. He freezes, he hesitates. He looks at his mother, and he looks at Sally, and he just stays silent. Because Billy Abbott is a coward, and he has always been a coward when it comes to his mother's authority. And this silence from Billy is the loudest thing in the room, because in that moment, every single fear that Sally has ever had about Billy is validated. She worried that he would not be a strong partner. She worried that he would not be a reliable father. She worried that he would fold under pressure. And here he is, proving her completely right. His mother is trying to bribe his girlfriend to terminate his potential child. And Billy cannot even find the words to tell his mother to stop. He cannot find the backbone to step in front of Sally and protect her. So Sally's standing there realizing that she is completely alone. Because the man next to her is useless, and the woman in front of her is a monster. And it just makes you think back to all the other times Billy has let people down. Because this is a pattern with him. He let Chelsea down. He let Victoria down. He let Lily down. And now he is letting Sally down in the most spectacular and devastating way possible. He is showing her exactly who he is, and it is not a man who can protect family. And you have to wonder what is going through Billy's head in that exact moment. Is he actually considering the offer? Is a sick part of him relieved that his mother is offering a way out of this complicated mess? Because Billy loves his freedom, he loves his lack of responsibility. And a baby with Sally's Spectra is a massive responsibility. So maybe his hesitation is not just fear of Jill. Maybe his hesitation is because he actually agrees with her on some dark subconscious level. And if Sally realizes that, it will destroy whatever tiny shred of love she has left for him. And let us just look at the broader context of the Abbott family right now. Because the entire family is in absolute shambles. Jack is completely heartbroken over his failing marriage with Diane. And Diane is acting like a paranoid maniac and forming a toxic alliance with Victor Newman just to get revenge on Jack and Nikki. So the Abbotts are looking weak. They are looking messy. And Jill knows this. Jill hates when her family looks vulnerable. So she probably flew into town thinking she needs to clean house. And Sally is just the first piece of trash she wants to sweep out the door. But Jill is underestimating Sally because Sally is a survivor. She has been knocked down so many times. She lost her career in Los Angeles. She was run out of town. She came to Genoa City and built herself back up. She survived the heartbreak of Adam cheating on her with Chelsea in Baltimore, which, by the way, was another massive betrayal that involved Billy's orbit. Because Chelsea was with Billy when she slept with Adam. So Sally has already dealt with the absolute worst these people have to offer. And now she is facing this new nightmare, and I really think this is going to be the breaking point for her. Because she is not going to take that money. There is no way Sally Spectre terminates a pregnancy for a corporate job in London, not after losing Ava, if anything. This brutal confrontation is going to make Sally fiercely protective of this new baby. It is going to ignite the mother bear instinct inside her. And she is going to realize that she does not need Billy, and she certainly does not need the Abbott family money. And I am so curious to see how Audra is going to react to this when Sally tells her. Because Audra is ruthless in business, but she has shown a really surprising soft spot for Sally lately. Audra was the one who brought the test. Audra was the one who stood by her. So when Audra finds out that Jill Abbott tried to buy an abortion, I feel like Audra might actually go to war for Sally. Because Audra hates being bullied by the old guard of Genoa City. And she might just help Sally figure out a way to completely destroy Jill's plan. And we also have to think about how this ties into the rest of the canvas. Because while Jill is terrorizing Sally in the athletic club, there is absolute madness happening over in Las Vegas. Adam is out there literally fighting for his brother's life. Because Matt Clark is playing this sick psychotic game and Nick is dying on a warehouse floor. And Chelsea just showed up in Vegas and found out that Adam has been kissing Riza. So Adam's life is falling apart. Chelsea's life is falling apart. And now Sally's life is falling apart. It is just tragedy everywhere you look. But bringing it back to the athletic club, you just have to picture the tension in that room. Jill with her perfect hair and her expensive jewelry, looking down her nose at a woman who is just trying to survive. And Billy standing there looking at his shoes. And Sally with tears in her eyes, but also this growing fire of absolute rage. Because nobody talks about her unborn child like that. Nobody gets to use her trauma as a bargaining chip. And Jill has just made a very dangerous enemy. Because Sally with nothing to lose is a very scary Sally. So what happens next? Does Sally throw the drink in Jill's face? Does she scream at Billy and walk out? Because I cannot see her staying in that room for another second. She needs to get away from these toxic people. She needs to go back to Audra. She needs to look at the result of that pregnancy test and make a decision about her own future. A future that probably does not include Billy Abbott anymore. Because how do you ever look at a man the same way after he lets his mother try to buy the death of your child? You just do not. And honestly, I am so tired of Billy getting away with this kind of behavior. He always plays the victim. He always acts like the world is so hard on him. But when the moment comes to actually stand up and be a man, he folds like a cheap lawn chair. He did it with Chelsea. He did it with Lily. And now he is doing it with Sally. And I hope Sally completely drags him for it. I hope she exposes exactly what happened in that room to everyone. Because Jack needs to know what his sister is doing. And the whole town needs to know how low Jill Abbott will stoop to protect her precious family name. And another thing that really bothers me about this whole London job offer is the sheer arrogance of it. Jill thinks she can just ship Sally off to another continent like a piece of defective merchandise. She thinks that London is far enough away that the Abbott family will never have to deal with the embarrassment of a Spectre connection. But Sally is a fighter. And she belongs in Genoa City just as much as anyone else. She has built a life here. She has built businesses here. And she is not going to let some wealthy snob chase her out of town. So we are definitely looking at a massive war brewing. It is going to be Sally versus the Abbotts. And it is going to be ugly. Because Sally has all this pent-up grief and rage from everything that has happened to her over the last 2 years. The loss of her baby, the betrayal by Adam. The constant feeling of never being good enough for these legacy families. And Jill just lit the match that is going to blow all of that up. And Billy is just going to be caught in the explosion because he was too weak to stop it. And as I sit here typing all this out, I am just overwhelmed by how dark this storyline is getting. It is raw and it is painful, but it is also incredible television. Because it forces these characters to show their true colors. Jill is showing that she is ruthless. Billy is showing that he is a coward. And Sally is going to show that she is unbreakable. And I cannot wait to see her rise from the ashes of this horrific confrontation and build something new for herself. With or without the baby, and definitely without Billy Abbott. So that is the massive update for today. I know it was a lot to get through and my fingers are literally cramping from typing so fast. But I had to get all these thoughts out because this Jill and Sally confrontation is going to change the entire landscape of the show. We will keep watching and see how Sally responds. And we will see if Billy ever finds his spine. But until then, just let me know what you guys think about Jill's disgusting offer in the comments because I am still in shock.